You're about to tap into the fan's perspective, where all things entertainment are talked about by the fans who love them the most. Now let's dive in with your host, Chris Laporto.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Fan's Perspective, courtesy of StarsAndCelebs.com, where you can get all of your entertainment news up to date, play some quizzes, read some celebrity interviews, and also you take a listen to the other great podcasts that are made available courtesy of StarsAndCelebs.com. My name is Chris Laporto, and I am back once again here on what is going to be a pretty cool episode of The Fan's Perspective, I think. And before we get into that, I want to introduce this week's returning guest, becoming a guest regular, and that is my lovely girlfriend, Tara. Welcome back.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
So, I decided to do something maybe a little different, and I'm going to be doing a few of these in the future as well. Over the weekend, as we were just hanging around, Tara, you asked me if I owned the movie Speed, and I have a pretty vast library of movies because you hadn't seen it in a long time, and I do have it, and I haven't seen it in a long time myself. So we decided to sit and watch Speed, and I realized that this year is the 25th anniversary of Speed. So it got me thinking that I wanted to do a little bit of a tribute to that movie to celebrate the anniversary of it. Obviously, it's not the exact. Actually, it is. June 10th, 1994 is when this movie was released. So
really?
Today is the exact 25-year anniversary.
That wasn't on purpose.
That
right?
wasn't on purpose. That was a complete accident.
That's hysterical.
But today marks the exact 25-year anniversary of Speed. That's pretty crazy, actually, as I think about that, because I did not plan that at all. But, of course, I did plan to talk about it, and I hope you guys listening enjoy it. And afterwards, if you haven't seen Speed, you'll check it out yourself. But what is Speed, for those who don't know? And I mean, I'm sure you all do, but it's action movie from 1994, starring Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, Sandra Bullock, and Jeff Daniels. And it's about Keanu Reeves playing an LAPD cop who has to prevent a bus from exploding thanks to Dennis Hopper planting a bomb on the bus. And it's kind of like a game of not really cat and mouse, but just like an edge of your seat. I don't know how to explain it. It's not cat and mouse, but it's like the terrorist, who is Dennis Hopper, just making these crazy demands, but putting Keanu Reeves in these crazy situations. The movie grossed $350 million on a $30 million budget, making it a massive hit for, I think it was Fox that produced it. 20th Century Fox. And to think this movie was actually turned down by other production companies is crazy. But this made Keanu Reeves a big star. He was known for cult classics like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, which we will get a third movie next year. And the year prior to doing this, he did Point Break, which is another classic movie that I like. But this one put him on the map as a legit movie star because of the amount of money that it generated, just to be honest about it, I guess. Same can be said for Sandra Bullock, who before this did Demolition Man the year before, another classic movie that I love. Dennis Hopper is, the late Dennis Hopper is definitely a legend within the movie industry, and he plays a great villain in this movie. He
died? When did he die?
He died a while ago.
Oh, wow.
And then, of course, Jeff Daniels, who is a movie veteran. He's been in a lot of great stuff that we've seen.
He died too?
Jeff Daniels is not dead.
Who am I thinking about?
I don't know. Dennis Hopper died in 2010. So 9 years ago. So that's Speed in a nutshell. We'll get into it again. But first, before we go any further, do you have a favorite Keanu Reeves movie?
So, this is actually my favorite Keanu Reeves movie, but because we're already talking about it, I'll give my second favorite, which is The Devil's Advocate. I love that movie. I love Al Pacino. I think the premise is really cool, and I think that entire I just love that movie. I think it's so clever, and interesting, and I love both actors. So that's my second favorite. But first favorite is Speed. So excited to be talking about it today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Speed is up there, probably number 2. I think I would put Point Break at number 3, but probably my favorite Keanu Reeves movie is the first Matrix. I mean, how could it not be? The Matrix is awesome. And actually, that came out in 1999, so that's got a 20-year anniversary this year. So maybe in the future we can talk about that a little bit.
The Matrix, I don't know. It has not, it has not been able to withstand the test of time with me.
Maybe with you.
I feel like, well, yeah, with me specifically. I think I liked it when it came out, when it had all the hype, and it was like the it movie of 99 and even into the early 2000s. And I think, I don't know, it just hasn't stuck with me. I probably either wouldn't enjoy it now, and I probably wouldn't even turn it on. I don't think it's something that I would actively put on television or pop into the PlayStation myself and play. If it's on and I happen to stumble upon it, maybe I'll watch it, but it's not something I actively seek out to watch anymore.
I mean,
I don't know why though.
I haven't watched it in a long time, but I would definitely always be open to watching the first one for sure. I know the other two, Reloaded and Revolutions, are split. You have people who like it, and then you have people who hate it. But yeah, that's probably my favorite Keanu Reeves movie is The Matrix. Sandra Bullock, another. I mean, she's been around for a long time. I would say she's another legendary actress.
Yeah, for sure.
Oscar winner. Do you have a favorite Sandra Bullock movie?
I'll give 2 like I did for Keanu. I love rom-coms, so those would be While You Were Sleeping, and then The Proposal.
I do like While You Were Sleeping, I have to admit.
That movie's hysterical.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
So good. And The Proposal I love. I just think her, she's just the most frigid, evil, cold person of all time. It's just it's hysterical. And Betty White, anything with Betty White will always get me excited. And then of course Ryan Reynolds. So it's 3 perfect people that I enjoy so much. So that's one of my faves.
Sandra Bullock to me has a lot of range. I think that she is probably even a little underrated as an actress. She's been in rom-coms like While You Were Sleeping, where she plays the nice, sweet girl next door who just falls in love. She's been, like you said, The Proposal, where she's kind of a bitch. Yeah. She was in Gravity,
yep.
Which I liked. I think a lot of people didn't. I kind of enjoyed it.
I like The Blind Side.
The Blind Side is what she won the Oscar for.
Yep.
Miss
Congeniality.
Miss Congeniality.
Cop roles, and
The Heat was funny.
Played a couple of cop roles, so tough woman.
But I think, and she's also been in action movies, Speed, but she also did The Net. She also did, as I mentioned before, Demolition Man, which is probably my favorite movie. That, if I had to just pick one that she was in, maybe it's that. Maybe it's tied with Speed.
And now you can add Thriller. She did Bird Box, which was a big hit.
She did The Bird Box, which was a big hit from that. So she's done a lot of stuff. She's been around a long time. And you can even go back to when she was in Practical Magic,
yep.
with Nicole Kidman. But I think it was Speed that really put her on the map. And she wasn't even the first choice for Speed, and neither was Keanu Reeves. We'll get back to that, but any honorable mentions before we kind of move on for Sandra Bullock or Keanu Reeves? And what about Dennis Hopper and Jeff Daniels? Do you have any favorite movies that they were in? Anything that you can think of?
What are yours?
Jeff Daniels.
He's in Dumb and Dumber, right? I've never seen any of those.
He is in Dumb and Dumber. I like Arachnophobia. even though it's terrifying because I hate bugs and spiders.
So
But Arachnophobia is a good movie, and it's obviously a movie that plays on a lot of people's fears. I mean, it's in the name of the movie.
right.
But I really like that movie, and when it's on, I tend to leave it. But Dennis Hopper, a legend of the screen, all the way back to when he was in Easy Rider in the 60s, Apocalypse Now. But this is probably, to me, the role that will cement his legacy, is being the bad guy for Speed.
I'm gonna have to say I'm looking through IMDb now and like both at his filmography and Jeff Daniels, and based on these lists, I'm gonna have to say Speed is probably both of my favorite from the two of them. I admittedly have not seen a ton of these movies that the two of them have been in, so I'm gonna have to go with Speed. Oh, I guess maybe True Romance for Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, that's a good movie too. All right, so let's get into what we know about Speed as far as like facts. We mentioned the budget, we talked about the cast. Critic scores, how does it hold up even today? I
We
think
missed some important cast members. We got Papa Pope from Scandal.
Joe Morton.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also from Harlem, so he is fantastic. Love him on Scandal. Very scary, villainous father on that show. He was in one of the Terminators in part 2.
Yeah, part 2.
Yep. I always remember his like weird heaving as he's like taking
Holding
his
the
last
bomb,
breaths
yeah.
and holding his bomb.
Alan Ruck from Ferris Bueller. He plays the kind of corny bus passenger who's a tourist. Remember, he's talking to Sandra Bullock in the beginning when she gets on the bus and she pretends that there's gum in her seat so she can get away from him.
Oh my
That's
god,
Alan Ruck.
I did not put 2 and 2 together that he is Ferris's friend. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
That's
That
him.
just blew my mind. Like, I knew I was watching it and I was like, I recognize this guy. And it was not clicking. I was like, I know I've seen him before, but wow, that is mind blown right now.
So 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, 76% audience score. That's kind of a big drop. I wonder why that is, to be honest, because as we watched the movie, there was a lot of things that we were like pointing out. I guess because we're older, and I haven't seen this one in a long time, even though it's part of my collection. But the best part of the movie for me probably is when they jump the bus over the 50-foot gap. And when you're watching it, it's like, that can't happen.
Yeah, I was like,
So
why
maybe-
is this bus going up and not down? Because
Right.
any other time, in real life, that bus would just go straight down and nosedive into the
Right.
ground.
So there's probably some unrealistic action, which is why maybe it has only a 76 as opposed to a 94 critic score. But I would expect that to be reversed, because I would expect that to be pointed out by critics. I think that's kind of the point. It's just meant to be a fun action movie that, you don't really have to use your brain a lot. You just have to enjoy it. And that, to me, that's what movies are about. Just
Right.
enjoy it. But that's a surprising score. I would expect it to be higher.
Maybe, I mean, I remember at one point I was like, there's no way that in the same day they would get caught up in this bus and then have a train problem. It just seemed like too much. I was like, Sandra Bullock woke up that morning and was Annie. What's her name? Annie? Right?
Annie.
Yeah, Annie woke up that morning, minding her business, ready to take the bus because she got her license revoked, and ended up in a heist with a bus, a bomb scenario with a bus, and then chained to a subway that also comes crashing through the ground. I was like, this is just ridiculous for one person who has nothing to do with any of this. So I don't know. It's not a huge thing. It was something that I just kind of like laughed at and called out. But maybe like people, as time is going on, with a lot of movies that from the 80s and 90s, it's just not aging well, and people are like quicker to call out like small flaws or like plot holes.
I don't know. Watching it, and we only watched this yesterday. I still enjoyed it. Like, I was still, and maybe because I haven't watched it in a long time, but I was still like just glued to the TV. Obviously I knew everything that was going to happen, but it still kept my attention. And that to me speaks volumes as far as my perspective. And I rewatch movies over and over again, movies that I like, obviously, but yeah, it kept my attention. And even though we were like, oh, that bus could never jump that gap, or how could somebody go through all this stuff in, what was it, essentially 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours, really, not even a full day. But
Well, yeah, I mean, I've seen the movie obviously 1,000 times. I knew it was gonna happen, and I was still like, how many times did I say, well, this is the third time I would faint, and this is the fourth time I would faint. It was just like every time something happened, I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. And I was kind of like, I felt like I was on the bus with them, and I was going through the shit because I was getting just as frustrated and mortified at some of the things they had to go through. Like, it's only imagine being on a bus. I think for me, it doesn't resonate because obviously I've never been in that scenario. Thank God, knock on wood. But it's so scary, right? It's such a common thing. I mean, how many times do I take a bus? I take a bus almost every day, and it's something that you're very vulnerable. It's not something you can prevent. There's no way to tell, and so it's scary in the sense that it's an everyday thing that can happen to anybody. And those were the unlucky 12, 13 people who got on the wrong bus that day. So yeah, it's nothing. I would never look at this movie and not enjoy it. I think it gets me every time, and it doesn't hurt to watch Keanu either.
Here we go.
Chris, don't start.
Moving on.
You want to talk about Keanu?
Well, as you bring him up, and you said multiple times as we were watching it that he looked good and all this nonsense.
I think I said yummy.
Okay. But Keanu Reeves was actually not the first choice for the movie. So let's dive into the fun facts a little bit. First, the writer Graham Yost. He was inspired to write the movie after being told about another movie by his father, a movie called Runaway Train, which is a movie from, I believe, the early 80s, starring Jon Voight, Eric Roberts, about two robbers on a runaway train. But Graham Yost, according to him, his father explained to him that there was a bomb on the train, which inspired him to write the script for Speed. However, Runaway Train does not have a bomb on the train in that movie. It's just a runaway train. So that's kind of funny. You think about it. He was misinformed about something and was inspired to write what essentially became a massive hit. But the movie was written with Stephen Baldwin as the first choice.
No.
Now, for those of you who don't know who Stephen Baldwin is, that makes sense that you don't know who he is, because the only thing that he's famous for is, one, being a Baldwin, and two, being in The Usual Suspects, which came out in 1995. And The Usual Suspects is a classic, and Stephen Baldwin was really good in that movie. But this movie came out the year before that, so I don't know what Stephen Baldwin did prior to be considered for this, or maybe he just tested well, or
what made him turn it down? I'm more curious to know what made him turn it down.
He turned it down because he felt that Speed was too similar to Die Hard, and that Keanu Reeves' character, Jack Traven, was too similar to John McClane from Die Hard, which the original script was... That confirms that. Graham Yost's original script was actually considered too similar. So they hired your boy, Joss Whedon, to rewrite it.
My boy Joss?
So Joss Whedon actually...
Joss always coming through with the gems,
Joss Whedon actually rewrote about 90% of the script for Speed and toned down Jack Traven a lot because apparently he had a lot of one-liners and would have been compared too much to John McClane. So it was toned down. And after Stephen Baldwin turned the role down, they considered Wesley Snipes, Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks, oh my God, what a joke. And I love Tom Hanks, but him in this role would have been a hot mess.
Until they finally noticed Keanu Reeves from Point Break and decided to offer him the part.
I'm pretty sure it's something very similar to, I'm trying to think, who was it? I think it's Johnny Depp. He got the role in Nightmare on Elm Street because I think someone's niece or daughter said he was hot, and so they casted it. They were like, we need someone dreamy, and this character Glenn needs to be Handsome Boy Next Door, and someone, I think it was Wes Craven's niece or daughter or somebody, said that, oh, this boy is hot, and so they hired him because they figured girls would like him. And I feel like this is probably what happened with Keanu Reeves. They were like, he's hot. Will he be a draw at the box office? Yes, check. Can he act? Check. And there you go. Chemistry with Sandy? Check. And then there you go.
Which, the chemistry part, I'll get to in a second, but the funny thing, can he act? Keanu Reeves can act when the role fits him. I think he's been kind of criticized a little for his acting ability because he's very he's almost like stoner type. Like, he's just very monotone. But I think John Wick has kind of changed that about him. But he was very good in Point Break. He was very good in Speed. He was good in The Matrix because that role just fit his personality.
What did you think of him in Always Be My Maybe?
He was ridiculous. He was actually pretty funny. But the real life Keanu Reeves is supposed to be a really cool guy, which is why I think people have come to respect him.
Taking the subway.
Yeah, takes the subway and
walking the street like he's a regular Joe Schmo.
But as far as his chemistry with Sandra Bullock was not the first choice either. The part of Annie was actually written to be a off-duty paramedic and was offered to Halle Berry, who turned it down. Then it was rewritten to be a more comedic role, which would have completely changed the dynamic of Speed. It would have been like a cop buddy, almost Beverly Hills Cop type, I think. And that was offered to Ellen DeGeneres, who turned it down.
Hysterical.
And then it was finally rewritten again, and Sandra Bullock was casted because of her chemistry during her audition process with Keanu Reeves. And it's funny as we mention that now, because I just remembered that it's been pretty recent that both Reeves and Bullock were on Ellen's show talking about how they both had crushes on each other while filming Speed, but didn't tell each other.
Which is hysterical and would be the biggest regret of my life if I was Sandra Bullock. I'd be like, are you kidding me? And like, you had a crush on me, I had a crush on you, and here we are, 25 years later, and now we're just saying something. It's so annoying. I would be so pissed. Even if I wasn't married, I think I'd still be like, what the fuck? This is awful. I kind of don't like, I don't think I like the paramedic angle, because then I think that'd be too on the nose, right? It's like the chance that a bus has a paramedic on it, like just like conveniently has all these things that you need, right, on this fucking city bus. Like, I'm pretty sure I've been on a city bus and there's probably no doctors on there or somebody that can help, and there's no cops on there or somebody, like the fact that they had a mechanic who had a tool belt, it was just a little too much where like everything they happened to need was on the bus. Because I'm pretty sure tomorrow morning if I went to work and this happened, I'd be on there and nobody would have more than a lunchbox, because it's just a little too convenient. So I'm kind of glad they didn't go that route, because I'd be like, all right, like this is a little corny, because what are the chances that he gets on here? There's a paramedic, there's a guy with a tool belt to come in when they need it. There's just somebody convenient for every scenario. So that's a little obnoxious. And then the Ellen angle, I just think would be ridiculous. I love Ellen, but Speed being a comedy would have been kind of annoying. Like, I think it had a perfect balance of comedy, a little bit of comedy, it was a little bit of a romance, I guess. Like,
comedy? What comedy?
You said with Ellen it was more of a comedy, right?
No, but you're saying this had a balance with a little bit of comedy. What was funny?
They had some fun. Well, okay, maybe it wasn't meant to be funny. I was laughing at Dennis Hopper because he was just a crazy person, and he would call Jack and be like, he'd be like watching the news and see things blow up. And he starts laughing like it's funny. So he was a little kooky to me. So I thought he was funny. So maybe I'm kind of projecting what I found to be hilarious as a comedy. I think I loved what they ended up coming to the table with, and Sandy was an even better hero because she was an everyday girl, right? She was not supposed to be on the bus. I don't think she said what she did on like a normal basis, but like she's clearly not a bus driver. She drove the hell out of that bus, because I know if I was told that the track was that the road was ending, and they like put I just would have just fainted. They would have had two people faint. Sam was already off the bus at that point, right?
the bus driver that was shot. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I just would have fainted, and Jack would have had to take the wheel, so I thought she was almost probably stronger and more brave than Jack, because at one point Jack started having a little meltdown, and she had to bring him back. So, I don't know. I really loved Sandy's character. She was very brave for an everyday citizen put into this like ridiculous high stakes scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sandra in this movie was very relatable and easy to root for, and so was Keanu Reeves as Jack.
So was my third favorite homeboy was, what was his name? Rios?
Ortiz,
whatever. Ortiz. He was on it. He was the next best person after Sandy. Like if the other two had somehow got off the bus or something happened to them, like he would be next in charge. I think he was the only one that was like put together. Everyone else useless.
well, everybody was terrified.
Right, you so useless. What good is a hysterical person in that scenario? You need someone who's calm, cool, collected, can think on their feet, and willing to help. When Jack was under the bus, sliding and gliding and putting holes in the damn gas chamber, only Ortiz was helping him. Everybody else is standing there going, "Oh my God!" Oh. Like, why don't you idiots reach your hands down and get him on this bus? Like, why was there one person trying to get him up?
It was easier said than done, probably.
I don't care. Like, this man has gone above and beyond for that, and they just sit in the back going, "Oh no! Oh Lord! What's happening? Oh!" Like, they were completely useless.
Anyway, well, let's talk about moments. Let's get into our favorite moments in the movie. The movie starts out with a bang. It's really just action from start to finish, the whole movie. It starts out with Dennis Hopper rigging an elevator with a bomb, obviously. His intention is to blow it up. And what he wants is money, and it's revealed later on in the movie that he is actually a former bomb squad cop who was hurt on the job, lost a thumb, and was kind of given a forced retirement and a watch and a sorry about your hand, as he put it.
Also, like, what kind of fucked up shit is that? Like, why can't he be a cop with 9 fingers?
Oh, I don't know.
Like, I just feel like it's just... I think he's probably pissed, like, because they, like, just was, like, discarded him. Like, I mean, the whole thing is fucked up, but it's like, I'm not even sure I agree with them forcing him to retire because he lost a thumb. Like, it's not like he lost his legs or, like, his, like, complete ability to, like, do his job. Like, I'm pretty sure he could still be a cop without his thumb. So it was kind of ridiculous.
So you're justifying his actions here?
I'm not justifying it. I'm just calling the police force out for, like, why would they fire him for that?
Well, they didn't fire him, but they
forced
forced
retirement is basically a nice way of firing.
Right.
Saying you are no longer of use to us, you no longer can service us in the way that we'd like. Please go ahead to Florida.
Yeah, and then from there it goes right into, well, I mean, not right into it, but we get Jack is at the coffee shop, cafe, getting himself a muffin and a coffee, and he's on his way to work. Runs into a friend of his who's a bus driver. Bus driver goes into his bus, the bus explodes, and then Keanu gets a phone call from a payphone, and that's when he finds out that it's Dennis Hopper's character who's still alive, and tells Jack that there's a bomb on a bus, and now the game begins.
I also find all his conversations with Jack to be hysterical too. He keeps when he continues, he like insists on saying his name. He has to say Jack, and like every other word has to be Jack. And then he just like subtly like threatening him, and like Jack will be like, "I'm gonna get you," and he's like, "All right, well, have a good day, like goodbye." Like he just does. He has no care in the world. Like he must. I feel like, and I think that's the scary part. That's the scary part about it. Like criminals, and like crazy people who are never concerned are the scariest, because that means they know something that you don't, and they know that they're not going to get caught, or that they know they have probably 2 legs up on you, and so that's always like just like a scary kind of thought.
I think he was also enamored with Jack. The fact that Jack was kind of
hot shot.
Well, he calls him hot shot throughout the movie. But the whole elevator job, I mean, what Jack did by hooking up a crane to the elevator so it wouldn't fall, and he kind of, disregarded orders to leave it alone. as they were getting money to pay him, and Jack was like, no, he's gonna blow it anyway. Let's try to save these people. And so I think after that he kind of was enamored with him, which is why, not the only reason why he set up the bus job because he wanted his money, but why he made sure that Jack would be involved in it.
Right.
So yeah, so the whole middle of the movie is them on the bus. Jack is trying to. Well, first of all, him getting to the bus was crazy. Like that's probably another part where you're like, this would never happen. On the highway in L.A., and he's outmaneuvering cars. I mean, I've never been to L.A., but I know the traffic there is crazy. And he's driving Glenn Plummer, the actor, his Jaguar.
Another person minding his business. That morning, never expected to lose his car, crash, lose the door in his car, be involved in some high-speed police chase. Like, too much. I'd have been so pissed if that was that guy. Stole his phone.
Keanu jumps onto the moving bus from the car. And, yeah, I mean, but it's all fun. I mean, it's just supposed to be that way. Right, and then we get the whole sequence with, them being on the bus. He's trying to direct the bus off the highway, out of traffic, trying to make sure that they can go the right amount of speed that they need to.
Can I talk about a frustrating point at this moment?
What?
That for a long time, no one believed that they were in trouble. Like, the guy was like, oh yeah, like, very funny. Like, why do you... He's showing his badge. Like, there's a whole scene where he's basically trying to convince these idiots that he's a cop and that they're in danger, and they just think he's kidding. It's like, how many people would... Like, what kind of joke is this? Like, why would this man jump from a moving car on the highway to tell you guys that we're in trouble, and it's like some kind of sick joke? I thought that was very annoying. It was like, how often does this happen where you guys aren't believing this guy? He just fucking jumps from another car onto the bus.
And it's just typical human nature to always just go against the grain a little bit and be like, it's like what we see with weather reports. A big storm coming, hurricane, everybody take shelter, and everybody's just like, bullshit, who cares?
I think that's different because...
it's just typical human nature to always go against.
But that's another scenario where, like, you hear it all the time, right? Like, every other week they're telling us there's a new hurricane with a new fancy name, and then nothing happens. Like, how often have you got on a bus and a cop jumps onto the bus and said, there's a bomb, don't go below 50? Like, it just... My first reaction would not be, oh, this guy's fucking with me. Like, I would take it very seriously. So, I just found that to be very strange and annoying. Because someone got shot because people were just fucking stupid.
But we talked about the scene where they have to jump the gap. All the different turns that they have to try to make with this big bus. Then after they finally figure out how to outsmart Dennis Hopper, and I don't want to give too much of it away. We encourage you to watch it if you haven't seen it or haven't seen it in a long time. But then the end, the climax, all takes place on now a train. As Dennis Hopper gets his money, and Keanu's chasing him on what becomes a runaway train at the end. And then, of course, Jack wins, saves the day. All of that, just wanted to point out all, like, the really exciting action sequences. Out of all that, what was your one favorite moment? Or favorite moment, like, what part had you on the edge of your seat the most?
On the edge of my seat? Edge of my seat, I would definitely say the jump. The 50-foot jump, because it was like, fuck. Like, and I think I got really nervous when the cops started to veer off, because it was like, all right, you're on your own now, and they were just watching, like, because those motorcycles, they did like a little U-turn, and all the other cars just kind of like went the opposite direction, so it was like, it was almost like watching someone walk into D-Day. So I thought that was like, that scene was pretty intense. My personal favorite scene is, I love when him and Sandy have to get off the bus finally at the end, and they're on like this little, I guess, the door.
It's an access panel.
Yeah, they're on the access panel, and he, like, I don't know, I just kind of love how he protects her, like, when they're sliding and going through the cones, he's like covering her, like, I don't know, I thought it was a cute moment, because I felt like...
You just wanted to be Sandra Bullock.
Okay, yes, that too. But I just thought it was like, I don't know, it was like super, like the way he was protecting her, like, and I thought it was interesting how just in like 4 hours. Like they were total strangers when they woke up that morning, and now here they are, like protectors of each other. They've saved each other's lives like multiple times at this point. They have like this unbreakable bond that they'll forever kind of share, and I just thought it was just like so much. And like I don't know, I kind of love the way he like protects her when they're flying off, and then of course when they get to kiss, because that's who doesn't want to kiss Jack.
Anyway.
Excuse me. Are you have a problem with my favorite scene, Chris?
No.
Can I talk about the scene I hate the most?
Hate the most? Yeah.
The annoying lady who gets blown up on the step.
Because she tries to get off.
First of all, Jack just told his comrades, the lovely police officers, that he's watching, and he said if anybody else but the bus driver gets off, he will blow it up.
And the bus driver, they were able to get him off because he was shot.
They get him off, and then the cops are going, "Come on, lady, just come on." I'm like, I thought that was very negligent of the police. It's one thing if she was trying to get off.
She was.
I mean, she was, but they should have been like, no, like, stay on, like, no, ma'am, go back. Like, they were egging her on, even though they had already been briefed on what the situation was. And it's almost like, at this point of the movie, how many people have died? How many things have exploded? Like, we know that Dennis Hopper's not playing. So it's not like they were calling a bluff and maybe there was a chance that nothing was going to happen. I think he showed that he was very serious. And I think the cops walked her to her death. They knew exactly what to do and told her to come on. And so she was annoying. Like, it was like, if the guy says we can't get off, why do you think he's going to let you off? Like, it was just like the sense of entitlement that I thought was very annoying. Well, I don't want to say she deserved it, but it was kind of like, you knew what it was. Somebody tells you, do not do this, or this will happen. You make your own decisions.
Yeah, I mean, definitely frustrating.
I'm very sympathetic to how scared she was, because like I said, at that point, I would have fainted how many times? Like 6 or 7? So listen, I'm scared too, we're all scared, but sometimes it pays to follow the rules, and she just, for whatever reason, decided she wasn't following the rules that day, even though she had every reason to believe that guy was not fucking around.
So I mentioned my favorite moment. Definitely the bus, even though we talked about how ridiculous it is. It's still a fun moment. I think another favorite moment for me was when they finally figure out who he is. And Jeff Daniels, his character, because he'd seen him before, was trying to find a mugshot of him. And they wound up going through all police records and found out that he was an Atlanta cop. Dennis Hopper's character was. Found out where he lives in LA and went to his house, and his house was rigged to blow. And so
that scene is really heartbreaking, because Jeff Daniels knows what he knows. It was like he has like a couple of seconds to realize that he failed.
Yeah.
And that he was about to die. Like, so it's like all these like this like rush of emotions that reflect disappointment and then also like death. And so I thought that scene was actually really sad. Those like 3 seconds he gets to realize, like, fuck, I walked right into this. He wins. It was very sad.
All right, so we're going to take a moment here, a pause for the cause. And and when we come back, we'll get into the legacy of Speed. And we're also going to have a little bit of a movie cop draft, and we'll get into what we mean by that when we come back. But first, we got, of course, a question for you. So, pop quiz hot shots. And we mentioned it briefly before, but how many miles per hour does the bus need to stay above so it doesn't explode? All right, and while you think about that, we'll be back in a quick second. All right, welcome back. Remember to answer that question on the homepage for the Fans Perspective at starsandcelebs.com. You can also answer it in the comment section at SoundCloud, where you are listening to this episode. So, the legacy of Speed. I think the legacy will just be tied into Keanu Reeves. Because you mentioned before the movie itself maybe being a little dated and notwithstanding the test of time a little bit, which I kind of disagree with. But I think what will always keep Speed in everybody's memory will just be Keanu Reeves, because Keanu has managed to really carve out a nice career for himself. We said that this made him a star. And then he went on to do things like The Devil's Advocate. He was in The Replacements, which was a pretty funny movie, football movie. But then he was in John Wick. And John Wick has become a huge hit for him as a franchise. It's up to its third movie. There was a fourth one announced. I haven't seen the new one yet. I saw the first two. I love them. Didn't get a chance to head to the theaters for part 3, but I definitely look forward to watching it. And I'm glad for him, because he just, like I said before, he seems like he's just a cool, down-to-earth guy. And he's always had this stigma, almost a little bit like Matthew McConaughey, where he's kind of made fun of for his acting skills and being dry and monotone. And now he's got another hit on his hands that is making everybody look at him in a different light. And then, of course, we have the highly anticipated third movie for Bill and Ted, which comes out next year.
I've never seen those.
Really? They're just like silly comedies, like stoner comedies, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Which, quick point to touch on, we mentioned Stephen Baldwin turning down Speed. But can you guess what movie he did to after turning Speed down? Biodome.
Never even heard of that, so it sounds like a disaster.
Him and Pauly Shore, so definitely.
Pauly Shore, oh Lord.
So definitely a good choice there.
I walked into the room and they were like, "Oh, your castmate is Pauly Shore." I'm like, "I'm out."
Yeah, so I wonder if he regrets that.
Yes, safe to say yes. And if he doesn't, we do for him.
So where does Speed rank on action movies? Is it top 10? Does it fall down the list a little bit? Is it one that should get a little bit more credit, should be remembered more? In this now the 25th year since its release?
I can definitely say top. I would definitely say top 100, definitely top 50, likely top 25. I haven't thought about what would be ahead of that, but I feel safe saying that it's definitely probably in top 25 at the very least.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think that's probably fair. And we haven't taken the time to go through every action movie to rank them, but I think top 25 is probably fair.
Mm-hmm.
I might even put it somewhere in the teens, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe one day we'll go through the action movies and do like a top 10 or top 20 list of that. But speaking of lists, so what we're going to do now is a little bit of a movie cop hero draft.
Okay.
So we're going to take 3 picks each of your favorite movie cop characters, or ones that you just think are just badass and that would, if you needed them, these are the 3 people that you would pick to be on your team. All right. So I'll let you pick first. And it can be any cop character. It can be from a movie or show. It doesn't matter. Just as long as it's an actor playing like a cop that is remembered.
Can I give, for my first pick, can there be a combo?
What do you mean?
Like a cop duo as my one pick?
No.
Like they come together. They come as a package deal. But that's still...
Fine, I'll let you get away with it.
Okay.
But then I get to do that.
Fine, you're such a brat. But only if you can't bundle somebody from 2 different movies.
I'm not gonna do that.
Fine. I'm gonna take my homeboys from Bad Boys.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that too.
Because I think they're hysterical, and first of all, they would bring the laughs, and they're also they're great. They have each other's back, and they both bring something different to the table. So on top of making me laugh and just having a good time, I think they would be great assets when it comes down to getting the bad guy.
Okay, so Seeing as how you did that, now I'm gonna do it.
Well, you're always copying. Like, why can't you just do whatever you were gonna do in the beginning?
No, and I'm gonna pick
What?
Riggs and Murtaugh from Lethal Weapon.
Here we go.
You don't like Lethal Weapon?
No, I'm just saying you're copying me as usual.
Well, why can't I? Why can't I do what? If you get to do that, why can't I get to do that?
Life's not always fair, Chris. Just because I get to do something doesn't mean you should.
I'm
Anyway.
I'm picking Riggs and Murtaugh from Lethal Weapon.
Fine.
So who's your next pick? Now single.
Don't tell me what to do, Chris. My next one, I'm going to take Axel Foley.
I expected you would do that as well.
Why?
So you just have a comedic team of police officers here.
I mean, we get shit done, but we have some laughs, and we go get Skittles and Bubblicious, and get yelled at by our boss.
Axel Foley's definitely got some skills though as a cop.
Right.
He is great. I hope they make another one.
See?
All right. So then I'm gonna have to go with John McClane next from Die Hard.
Chris,
I mean, how could you not?
How dare you take my other spot?
How could you not take him?
No, how dare you steal him from me? He was my last pick.
Well, he's my pick.
It's just unreal.
And seeing as how we did like a duo, we'll each get an extra pick.
A duo? Okay. Fine. I'll take Jack from Speed.
Okay, fair enough.
We need some bomb expert.
Yeah, Jack is cool. I mean, we just spent an entire episode talking about him, so he's obviously a cool character. All right, so from there, I'm gonna go with John Spartan
What was that?
from Demolition Man. Sylvester Stallone's character from Demolition Man.
I've never seen that.
Well, you're gonna watch it.
No.
I'm gonna make you watch it because
No.
it's great.
No. Is Wesley Snipes in that?
Yep, Simon Phoenix and Sandra Bullock, as we mentioned before. So yeah, so I'm gonna take John Spartan.
Fine.
So now that's 4 each
Yep.
that we have. So one more, round it out to 5.
I'm gonna take Olivia Benson from Law and Order because I need somebody to get down to the nitty gritty of the nonsense. So I need somebody from the special unit.
Mariska Hargitay's
Yeah.
character.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, interesting choice. I didn't expect that one.
Why?
I just didn't. First of all,
Well-
I've never seen you watch Law and Order.
I don't. I just know she's a famous cop and that she'll probably get down to the nonsense. And so while I have all this brawn on the team, I need somebody with the brains. So I'm assuming she's gonna be the brains of the operation outside of me, obviously.
So the last one might be the last one's a little tough, as I try to think of other cop characters. And we didn't do this prehand. This is just all off the cuffs right now. But I'm gonna go with someone who's really no nonsense, and I'm gonna go with Dirty Harry Callahan from the Dirty Harry movies, Clint
that
Eastwood's
Clint Eastwood?
famous cop character. So that rounds out my team, and I think my team could beat your team on any day.
Absolutely not. Are you crazy?
I got Riggs, Murtaugh,
First of all,
John McClane, John
Mike
Spartan,
Mike
and Harry Callahan.
Mike and Marcus will beat up Murtaugh and whatever his name is. They're old,
You've never seen Lethal Weapon?
but they're old.
So what?
So Mike and Marcus will beat
Lethal
them
Weapon
up.
they're not old in the movies.
Chris, I know who they are. I'm telling you, Mike and Marcus will beat them up.
No.
Absolutely.
Riggs is
guys,
crazy.
can you write in the comments who you think would be who would win in a battle or like a fist fight or even in a cop off?
A cop off? What the hell is a cop off?
Who would solve a crime first? Excuse me, Chris. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. How dare you even attempt to say that your team would beat mine?
Because they would.
You don't have no smart people on your team.
Yes, I
You
do.
don't have no cons on your team. You lose.
Our listeners don't know what that is.
You lose in every capacity. Cons are good-looking people. We win across the board. Bronze, beauty, intelligence. We have everything. What do you have?
I have John McClane, and I have John Spartan, and I have Dirty Harry. and Riggs and Murtaugh.
Axel will out with John any day. Yes?
No.
Goodbye. Who do you have on your team that is a critical thinker? Like my girl Olivia Benson. You have no critical thinkers on your team. Right. Exactly. We win.
Oh, and you have a team of critical thinkers,
yes,
Karen?
I just told you Olivia Benson is our critical thinker.
You telling me that Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett are critical thinkers?
I mean, I'm clearly saying Olivia is the critical thinker on the team. I said that. You have 0.
You don't know. John McClane's a critical
Dirty
thinker.
Harry doesn't do anything.
Well, you've never seen the movie.
Right, because he doesn't do anything, so I don't need to watch a movie of somebody doing nothing for 90 minutes.
Oh, okay.
That's just the truth.
It's not the truth. It's ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Alright, well, my team wins, so...
No. We're going to put that up on a poll on whose team would win.
I mean, clearly...
And we're going to see what people say. But...
Unreal.
Let us know who would be on your team of movie cops. And if you want to steal a couple of picks that we did, go right ahead. Unless you can think of some that we didn't mention to be on your team. I can think of a few. Tango and Cash. How about Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan from Rush Hour?
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I like Jenko and Schmidt from 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, I wouldn't pick them though.
Not for my super team, but I like them.
But so go ahead and choose your team and share with us on the Fans Perspective homepage, as well in the comments for SoundCloud, and also find me on Instagram at Crystal Porto, and you can even post it there and let me know who your team of cops is. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed.
I hope you guys enjoyed me giving my team beating Chris's team and hearing my very important perspective on Speed.
Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode as we celebrated the 25th anniversary of Speed. And if you haven't seen Speed, please go watch it. If you haven't watched it in a long time, refresh yourself with it, because Speed will go down as just one of the most awesome action movies of all time. And I can't believe it's been 25 years since it came out. I remember watching it for the first time with my parents all the way back in the day. But thank you once again for joining us. Make sure you visit starsandcelebs.com. Thank you, Tara, for talking about Speed with me and fantasizing over Keanu Reeves.
Pleasure.
And yeah, I look forward to doing more of these in the future, celebrating some more movie anniversaries. I got a few lined up that I think are going to be really fun to talk about. And until then, I'll see you next time.
Bye.